my 24M girlfriend, 24F, and I want to establish boundaries around the opposite gender. Been going out with my girlfriend for 6 months or so and we've never formally agreed on boundaries. On the opposite gender, I'm totally okay with her having male friends and I can have female friends. But where we tend to disagree is the level of friendship we can have and how close is appropriate, emotionally and physically. I drafted up these as boundaries, or rules, I'd like us to agree to. 1. Avoid deep and emotionally intimate situations and inappropriate, intimate physical contact with the opposite gender. 2. Don't prioritize an opposite-sex friend above your intimate relationship. 3. Recognize that your partner cannot be everything to you and you cannot be everything to your partner. 4. Keep our partner's feelings in mind when making decisions. 5. Do not discuss the details of your romantic relationship with a different sex friend, especially not relationship problems. What are your thoughts? Any boundaries, rules you have found to be beneficial that I don't have here? Edit because I feel this is unclear. I have no intention of showing her this list. I'm only using it as a way to organize my thoughts. The rule my wife and I have always abided by is, don't behave in a way with someone else that you would not be proud of your significant other seeing. The problem I see with some of your rules is that they're too nebulous to be enforceable. For example, what does deep and emotionally intimate mean to each of you? Are you allowed to discuss past traumas? Are you allowed to provide advice about sensitive issues they're struggling with? These are things I would consider normal for a friendship, but they are deep and emotional topics. Are you not allowed to discuss any details of your relationship, even positive ones? Where do you draw the line on that? Can you talk about a vacation you took together? Can you talk about something nice your partner wrote in a card for your anniversary? Can you talk about conversations you've had together about the future? You can see how some of this stuff becomes thorny if you don't already share boundaries on these things. My boyfriend and I never had to write out what is or isn't okay in our friendships because through the course of conversation and witnessing each other's friendships, it was just obvious we share values there. If you're already disagreeing, it's highly likely that one of you will break one of the rules without even meaning to because they feel unnatural for your friendships. Some of the other things are just common sense. Your partner shouldn't be your entire emotional, social support system and you should keep your partner's feelings in mind. The fact that you have to write those things out makes me wonder where the disagreements are here. I think you are going to have a hard time with the language you have used here. Which is also why Reddit is downvoting your comments to hell and back. If you want to talk to her about these things, use I statements. When this happened I feel this way. Like, when you wanted to also take Mark to see this movie I felt. Insert emotion here. Quote, do not say, you made me feel emotion. This is very accusatory and does not leave room to work through it as a team. How you have written out things you dislike feels very commanding, which is not good for tackling them together. Also, no one likes being told what to do and you shouldn't tell her what to do either. State the problem, I feel X, then work through it together as opposed to skipping straight to your solution without her problem solving with you. Both parties need to have care and compassion when it comes to addressing things they don't like, so keep this in mind when talking about it. As long as everything is made clear and you both agree, then go ahead. If I received this list, I have to be honest, I would be on edge all the time. Imagine having to constantly wonder if you're going to send your partner on a spiral because you've spoken to a friend of the opposite sex a little too long, or given them a hug because they're going through a difficult time. I know my partner has female friends. He sometimes tells me things about them, and I don't really ask questions or feel any kind of need to investigate. I don't feel like I need to worry at all. And I've come from a narcissistic relationship with an extreme gaslighter who certainly emotionally cheated and probably physically too. I didn't trust a single thing that boy said. The difference being my current partner is completely open, respectful of the opposite sex. Well, of everyone really, and is generally a very kind person. We share a lot of the same values. We've been through similar experiences with exes. We've both been controlled in some way or another. If even for a moment I thought I'd have to put limitations on his friendships, then at that moment I'd equally realize we aren't compatible. Setting rules only puts a temporary barrier in the way. It'll cause anxiety, resentment, eventually lies, and it'll worsen whatever trust you actually have. Why not just make life easier for you both? Choose to just be happy. I know it sounds ridiculous, but honestly it really is that simple. Either this person is someone you can see your life with, exactly as they are, including their friends and family, since they essentially come as a package, or they aren't your person. Personally, I don't have the energy to try and make someone behave a certain way. It's so much easier to find someone who just aligns with your values. As long as both people are always acting with the best intentions while also being faithful, then that's all that should really matter. Disagree with number 2, and here's why. Do you feel that a same-sex friend might ever have a crisis that they need help with and that you need to prioritize in the short term? So is there anything she's doing now with her friends that you don't like? 'Cause I would feel weird as hell if my BF just rocked up with all these rules and limits on my existing friendships. Why is it a problem if she prioritizes an opposite-sex friend over your relationship but not a problem if it's same-sex? Why is it okay for her to share details of your relationship with her same-sex friends but not opposite sex? Why does the listener having a dick suddenly make it not okay? I don't know how you can say you recognize you can't be everything to your partner, but also want to stop any deep or emotional thing with an opposite-sex person. But again, it's okay if the person she's doing it with has a vagina. If my female friend loses their father, I'm allowed to cancel dinner plans with you. But if the friend who lost their father has a dick, I can't, because that would be prioritizing an opposite-sex friend over you? It's all just so weird and controlling. It's a lot of words that to me says you're not as okay with her having male friends as you say you are. One rule. If you wouldn't do it with me sitting next to you, don't do it when I'm not. If you don't yet recognize what your partner would not be okay with, you need to have that conversation first. This sounds like a very intellectualized way of saying, I feel really vulnerable and I would like you to behave in such a way that I never have to feel at risk. That may not really be possible, because emotions aren't really rational. I think it's pretty likely to backfire. A better approach to trying to create rules is to explain how you feel. I feel really vulnerable at the idea of you discussing out sex life with dudes. Quote, I feel like you're prioritizing your friends over me. That's a lot easier to swallow than rules she has to follow, and probably leads to the same place. More or less. Her social and support network is what it is. If you need her to change it to make you feel less vulnerable, then you probably aren't right for each other. There's a common theme in everything you're saying, that you don't really want her to have male friends at all. Wrapping that up in intellectual talk doesn't really change the message. Boundaries are really about the things you won't tolerate. And they come out more like, if we make plans and you stand me up for a friend, I'll leave. Try to keep it really simple and about how you feel rather than what her rules are. No deep connections? And no discussion of the relationship? Yeah, that would be a relationship ender. You're here discussing your relationship and its issues with the internet. She's not supposed to speak to a close friend about it? That is not a healthy boundary to have at all. As someone who has been married 20 years, sometimes you prioritize the friend in certain circumstances. That's normal. This is just too much. This is nuts. Friends are friends. Trying to control topics and context is ridiculous. Boundaries seem pretty reasonable. Basically no emotional or physical cheating. Respect your partner. And don't triangulate intimate details of your relationship. I think a lot of people are going to respond negatively to your post because I'm making a list of rules for what my girlfriend can't do around guys. On the surface sends red flags. However, I'm going to trust you're asking this in good faith and simply trying to figure what's a reasonable boundary and how to communicate it. I think the communication aspect of this is going to be key. Nonviolent communication is a good thing to Google for a general structure. I'd also keep an eye out in the comments for simple rules of thumb real couples have used. The idea that you need to write this stuff already indicates some mistrust and problems. Maybe just go with the standard. We promise to break up before moving on rather than cheating. That covers the only thing that really matters. Good luck. Friendships involve emotional connections. It can't be avoided. I came into my current marriage with a very close friendship to a male friend. I love my friend very much. But I don't love him romantically. My husband knows that and we trust each other. My male friend and I sometimes hang out just us. Sometimes my husband and I hang out with him and his wife. Sometimes I hang out with the wife and my husband hangs out with my friend. Relationships are built on communication and trust, and even more communication. If you have to write up things like this, then the two of you are too different to work out. You can't make rules for every possible scenario. And if you already are to the point of needing to dictate specific rules only 6 months in, then you simply aren't compatible. Point of clarification. I'm not giving her a list of demands. I wrote this out to organize my thoughts and easily share with you all. The points are a little vague, but I think you're on the right track. Conversations like this are healthy, I feel, and help both individuals in approaching friendships with consideration for their partners. In theory, it becomes second nature to maintain healthy boundaries. I couldn't be with someone who has all these rules. I get you want boundaries, but some of these are way too much. These aren't boundaries, they're rules. I feel like if you're at the point where you need to make a list of conduct that each person needs to sign off on, you're not meant for each other. LMAO. It really shouldn't be this hard 6 months in. Also, all your points will need multiple addendums for various scenarios of which you can't possibly cover them all. It's really as simple as don't emotionally and physically cheat, which if you're monogamous is a given. I've never had to explain this to anyone I've ever dated because again, it's a given of you choose those with similar values.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.